Race 2 of the weekend from Spa-Francorchamps in the 2022 Euroformula Open season is about to get underway. We're once again back here in the Ardennes Forest at this legendary 7-kilometre venue, host to a great many exciting moments in racing, and including the Euroformula Open Championship. We've been coming here since 2008, and why would you ever take this one off the schedule? A fabulous facility, and always provides us with fabulous racing in Euroformula Open. Of course, race 2, slightly different grid. The top 6 from yesterday are reversed. The top 6 in race results from yesterday are reversed, and that means that Sebastian Ogier is our pole sitter in that number 25 car. The Van Amersfoort Racing driver will be aiming for his second win of the season. Oliver Goethe will be aiming for his second win of the weekend from 6th on the grid. It's been a compelling start to the weekend. We've seen a lot of drivers show pace in free practice and qualifying, but Oliver Goethe was the fastest of all yesterday in race number 1. And George Morgan, it's going to be very interesting to see how that form continues on into this race.
Certainly will do. Different set of affairs. There you can see Sebastian Ogier on front spot. Obviously, as we said prior, the reverse order taking effect here in race 2. Alongside him, Alex Garcia, who lines up alongside. 4th place is where he qualified yesterday, and now he's on the second row of the grid as a result of yesterday's results. So obviously coming into this one, you'll look forward to maybe taking his chance heading around La Source. Behind him, we have also got Vladislav Lomko on row 2, who's currently sat behind Sebastian Ogier. He might choose to take his chance, of course. Has really shined this season in terms of the rookie standings, but has also proven himself to be a contender for podiums in the overall championship. Here we have alongside him Josh Mason, the man who got a gargantuan start yesterday, and he was delighted with his performance. 4 places gained off the start of the race, and he continued his valiant run, battling with his teammate Christian Mansell, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to correct myself, it's fastest... sorry, no. Disregard, I'm right the first time. Top 6 reverse order, of course, in this one. Then we have the top 6 reverse qualifying in race number 3. Oliver Goethe, though, in both instances, is going to have to start from this position, P number 6. The 96 driver, the Danish racer, of dual German and Danish nationality, will be looking to carve his way through the pack. Someone who'll be looking to have a bit of a redemptive drive today, I think, will be Freddie Lubin. A redemptive start, I think, more than anything, too. He had a poor launch yesterday, but he'll be looking to try and make positions before La Source and then work his way towards a podium, Freddie Lubin. Freddie Lubin definitely has the pace for a podium here at Spa. Let's see if he can execute that particular result. Philippe Augrand there in 8th position. Alongside him is Francesco Simonazzi. Behind him, Philippe Caminiaz on that final row of the grid. Francesco Simonazzi, love you too, Francesco. He'll be starting from 9th place, and alongside him, Philippe Caminiaz in the number 88 car. Of course, Philippe returning to the series this weekend in place of Nicola Marinangeli. We're expecting Nicola back at some point in the not too distant future. So then, highlights from race number 1. It was a mighty launch from row number 2 from none other than Christian Mansell. Christian Mansell getting to the inside of Oliver Goethe and leading through La Source on the first lap. He'd lead down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion, but then once they got to the Kemmel Straight, Oliver Goethe had the tow, and he didn't need a second invitation to try and get by. Meanwhile, Alex Garcia moving up into 3rd place, and Josh Mason carving his way through the order. He would soon be in battle with Christian Mansell for 2nd position. Mansell and Mason getting a bit too close for comfort on a couple of occasions, but respectful racing between the two of them. Mason up into 2nd place. Vladislav Lomko hunting for a podium back there in 4th position as well. Another run up the Kemmel Straight towards Le Combe. Take 2, and this time it was Mansell who capitalized. The slightest bit of contact between them, but thankfully no damage caused. This man, Oliver Goethe, would take the win. Christian Mansell would hold on to 2nd place. And Josh Mason with his first ever podium in Euroformula Open. This is what the championship looks like then after yesterday's first race. 198 points for Oliver Goethe, a 44-point advantage over Christian Mansell in 2nd. Vladislav Lomko on 129 points, 69 points back in the number 69 car coming into today's race. So the formation lap is just a few moments away here, and it will be Sebastian Aagaard on the pole position. The Danish racer on pole alongside Alex Garcia. Garcia will be looking to try and make a good start here, I'm sure of that. Lomko and Mason, 3rd and 4th place. Mansell and Goethe, 5th and 6th. Then it's Freddie Lubin and Philip Ugran on row number 4. Francesco Simonazzi and Philip Cominias in 9th and 10th position. We are all wishing Vladimir Netschil well as well. I know that he was all excited for Spa. He couldn't stop talking about Spa when we were at Paul Ricard, and such is the world. He's, I believe, currently in the process of welcoming a new child into the world along with his partner, which I think probably better than a race weekend, but only just. Let's hope that Vladimir is back with us by the time we get to the Hungaro ring. Goethe just warming up the tyres. Great to have this onboard view. Of course, we had the onboard with Christian Mansell quite often last time out at Paul Ricard, and now we're getting a view from atop the halo on the Gulf-coloured, the Rothko-coloured number 96 car, Goethe. We've seen Ollie make his way through the order countless times before. Of course, back at Estoril, he was really struggling with launching the car, and even if he was on pole, he'd end up having to fight his way back through to try and get onto the podium. With that experience in mind, with the tenacious overtaking that we've seen from him all year long, even at Pau, I think we can expect Oliver to certainly be in contention for a podium. You can't rule him out for a win either.
Not at all. I mean, that halo cam, I think, is going to be particularly entertaining, I think, in this race, but we'll have to wait and see. But nevertheless, we've got plenty of talents out on this order. Vladislav Lomko, to name a few, who obviously who's been tenacious this season, absolutely brilliant as part of a rookie campaign, and managing to scoop up some very good podiums indeed, and once again showing what he's capable of here at Spa. Had to recover after starting from the back of the grid yesterday, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him fighting up at the top order. Sebastian Aagaard, I met him in the paddock just before we headed up into the commentary box. He's really confident, looking forward to leading from the front, and obviously it's a huge opportunity for Sebastian Aagaard to lead the way, but of course he is no fool. He obviously is very wary of what could happen heading up the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw a prime example of it yesterday. Christian Mansell leading out of La Source Bend. As you saw in those highlights a few moments ago, leading out of La Source is often something of a detriment if you've got someone right behind you, because that slipstream up out of Radion and along the long Kemmel Straight can be more of a hindrance than a help. And well, we'll see whether or not Aagaard can hold on to this one. He's taken a win already this year. Race number 3 back at Estoril, where Sebastian Aagaard claimed his inaugural victory in Euroformula Open. He hasn't had one since, but Sebastian Aagaard will be hoping to make good progress here today. Of course, he had a bit of a setback at Pau, injuring his thumb. Was more or less back up to strength by Paul Ricard, and now here at Spa, Sebastian Aagaard wants to reassert himself as a race-winning potential driver here in Euroformula Open. And he'll, of course, want to try and score some good points in the rookie category over Vladislav Lomko, because Vladislav Lomko is now starting to ever so slightly ebb away from the pack in the rookie class, although the likes of Aagaard and Alex Garcia are both getting closer and closer to Vladislav race on race. We mustn't just discount this man. Francesco Simonazzi is also a rookie class racer, the sole entrant for BVM Racing in that number 84 car. We'll see if Philip Cominias can be fighting for positions today. Had a bit of a rough race yesterday, from what I understand. Certainly was away off the field by the end of the race. Of course, after 8 months off, just making sure your neck is up to condition and stuff like that, all critical in these race cars, these high downforce single-seaters. I think it's always a test when you get thrown in last minute, as Philip is experiencing.
He was very unlucky yesterday. Actually had a bit of a lock-up heading around Pouhon, which sort of left him a little bit at bay, and obviously the gap then sprung out between him and P9, so obviously had to fight back to try and get back with the pack, but nevertheless he is here, and starting from P10. There's still opportunities here at Spa, Adam. Various amounts of corners, different opportunities. Give Philip a chance, who knows?
Yeah, I think everyone here on this grid has the potential to be a podium finisher. Certainly, we've got quite a strong class of drivers in the 2022 Euroformula Open season, and they're about to take on Spa. It's certainly not the sunshine that we had yesterday. It's looking a bit overcast. Will the weather stay away? We'll have to find out. Sebastian Ogier will lead them away, though. We are go at Spa. Everyone off the line decently. And look at Josh Mason, lightning start. He's challenging for second. He's into second. No, make that Christian Mansell. Mansell all the way around the outside. He and Mason there fighting for second position. Christian Mansell with another lightning start. Sebastian Ogier in a comfortable lead there. He got a good start. Oliver Goethe there in 5th place, so he's made up a position already as well. And Christian Mansell is now going to be trying to close in on the back of Sebastian Ogier. Josh Mason is going to be under threat from just about everyone in 3rd place as well. It's side by side between Mason and Garcia for 3rd, and the lead may change hands here. Christian Mansell trying to squeeze Ogier. Further back in the pack, Oliver Goethe on the grass, but Mansell sweeps through into the lead of the race. Christian Mansell is our race leader. He's gone from 5th to 1st in a matter of corners.
A lightning start once again from Christian Mansell, showing that pace again that we saw rounding La Source yesterday. It certainly is a bit of sauce for him. He's now up in top spot. Sebastian Ogier in 2nd place. Josh Mason with another great start as well. He's still up there fighting in the podium places. Oliver Goethe also gaining places, up 2 from P6 up into P4. Alex Garcia now in 5th with Vladislav Lonko chasing his tail in P6 as well, with Philippe Hugran in 7th, Frederick Lubin in 8th. Kaminiaz has moved up into 9th with Simonazzi down in 10th place. But what a start from Christian Mansell.
Christian Mansell with a lightning getaway. Can't wait to see the replay of that one. I was so focused on Josh Mason darting from one side of the track to the other. Mansell went largely unnoticed on my end until we got closer to La Source. Oliver Goethe then, we saw him on the grass on the run up to the Kemmel Straight. It was all getting a bit you know, close for comfort, let's say, and now it's going to get close for comfort again at Blanchimont, because Goethe up the inside. 4th place, is it? Yes, just about, but I'm sure Alex Garcia isn't going to take that lying down. Looks to the outside at the bus stop. It's possible around there, but he wasn't quite far enough alongside. Oliver Goethe up into 4th place, then 2 positions gained, 1 little bit of rally crossing, a standard lap at Spa.
Yeah, we join him for his halo as well, his halo cam as he makes his way down through towards the source. Let's have a view of what this corner looks like with the new gravel trap. You can see it there on the left-hand side, folks. You have to get in close to that apex, then on the outset try and push the limits. You can just see they're so close to the gravel, but doesn't lick it. Oliver Goethe now heading up through towards Eau Rouge and Radion. You can see just ahead of him Josh Mason, who I'm sure will see that Rofco livery starting to loom up towards him, but I'm sure after Mason's form yesterday and the sheer pace that he's shown this weekend, he is going to be more than a match, certainly for Ollie Goethe. We'll certainly see lots of battling between this bunch at the top end. Mansell moves to the inside line, trying to defend again from Sebastian Ogier, who takes the outside now, heading into Les Combes. Still he can't find a way through, but great tenacity still shown by Sebastian Ogier, making the effort to try and claw back the lead. He had a chance, he nearly got him.
He did, and meanwhile, we just saw Lubin there on the attack as Mason has to give way to Oliver Goethe. Goethe up the inside of Bruxelles there for 3rd place. Freddie Lubin has made up a position on Lomco as well on this lap, so lots of overtakes as always around Kemmel, Les Combes, Malmedy and so on. And let's take a look at this again. Goethe just seeing half an opportunity. Mason tried to go defensive, but he did it a fraction too late. Goethe was already there, and good showing from Josh Mason there to just judge the fact that turning in would not end well. Goethe up into P3, is already into the podium positions, and he's already onto the back of Sebastian Ogier. Christian Mansell will desperately be hoping to break the toe to Sebastian Ogier so that he can try and build a gap between himself and Oliver Goethe. Of course, once again, it looks like we may have a repeat of the final lap at Paul Ricard in race 2 last time. We could end up with Mansell versus Goethe. For now, it's Goethe versus Ogier, and that was quite easy for Ollie Goethe. Just drew alongside on the approach to Blanchimont Second consecutive lap we've seen him make a move there, and he's going for the lead. I thought for a moment, didn't quite go for it. So now we've got Mansell versus Goethe again with the added joker card of Sebastian Ogier. This could be a very entertaining lap of racing here at Spa. The top 7 are all in one long queue, really the whole field still in one long queue, and Goethe there hunting down Christian Mansell. Mansell with a good launch off of La Source. It's going to be, though, very difficult for him to defend onto the Kemmel Straight. Here we see a replay, fairly easy stuff for Ollie Goethe getting back past, but we need to take a look at the Kemmel Straight because things are about to kick off once again as they head up the hill.
He certainly will, as they now make that ascent. Heading up through Rouge and Radion. Next up, it's the Kemmel Straight. There is Christian Mansell, and you can see Ollie Goethe in behind the 2 championship leaders, making their way through now up towards Lake Com. Ollie Goethe with the outside line as he now looks to move ahead now of Christian Mansell, who defends valiantly on Goethe off the track as they now head through towards Malmedy. Christian Mansell still holds the lead. In behind, you can see Goethe currently sat in second place, obviously licking his wounds slightly from that venture off the circuit, but he's on track, he's okay. The battle will still rumble on. We've still got a magical 12 laps remaining in this exquisite race as we now look at the replay. Just look at him, just taking the wider line. Mansell tried to squeeze, heading in towards Lake Com. He had that inside line. Mansell was able to hold it. Goethe off the track, but managed to come back on, remain in second. He's going to live to fight another day.
Wow, wow, wow. That was uncompromising from Christian Mansell. Just squeezed out Goethe and continues to lead the race on lap 3 of 14. This is going to be a very compelling 14 laps of racing if things continue in this manner. Mansell with a good advantage over Goethe now. Let's see what the gap is between the two of them at the second sector split. It's just over a second. I think you still get a whiff of a toe from that range if you're Oliver Goethe, but you're going to be far more worried about Mason and Ogier behind you, potentially, because they will be much closer to the back of you. Of course, now on the long run towards the bus stop chicane, everyone closing in again, side by side among the motor park drivers there for 5th place. I believe that's Lubin and Garcia battling it out. Yes, it is Lubin on the outside, and I think Garcia just about holding on to P5 for the time being. No, Lubin really did leave the nose in there, tried to get up into 5th place, couldn't quite do it. Vladislav Lomko now on the offensive up against Lubin, and Freddie Lubin, who really wants a strong result here in race 2, is trying his best to fight his way by Garcia, but in doing so he's now having to scrap with Vladislav Lomko. Of course, Lomko and Lubin both had really poor qualifying sessions yesterday owing to a late red flag, and look at this dice between these two. Fabulous stuff. It is Lubin in the 6th place for now, but he's got Vladislav Lomko all over the back of him. Let's take a look at what happens then on the Kemmel Straight for everybody this time. I don't think Goethe is going to be close enough for a move on Mansell. Mansell glances into the mirrors to confirm the same thing. It's all kicking off for 5th place though, and Garcia holds on to it. Lomko up into 6th, Lubin to 7th. Behind them is Philip Ugran in the 14 car. Simonazzi, the 84 there in 9th, and Caminias there holding on in 10th place.
Yes, indeed. The gaps are so minimal. The gap between P10, you can just see it. Everyone's so bunched, so close together. It's wonderful to see in this race here at Spa. Wonderful circuit, lots of corners, various corners as well, different kinds. And I have to say, it's been a great race to match as well. Mansell still leads. Goethe in behind is just outside the 2/10 gap as we now watch them head through Pouhon. We've got this contingent now with Vladislav Lomko just behind Frederick Lubin, who did initially, on that previous lap, get his nose in front heading into the sector, but they went side by side down towards bus stop. And now Garcia, obviously in 5th place currently. Lubin needs to try and tag him back, as we now see them. Oh, very close, Sebastian Ogier, very nearly losing the car there, but managing to recover. We saw Mansell do something very similar yesterday, and he was able to save it, well, he was very lucky because he was more on the gravel than what Ogier was, but Ogier very close indeed.
Yeah, Lomko behind Alex Garcia then. 5th and 6th place are once again close together. This seems to be the prime battle at the moment. Vladislav Lomko, he's already dispatched Freddie Lubin on this lap. Can he do the same to Alex Garcia? Lomko looks to the outside. Tricky to do around the outside of the bus stop, but he was very late on the brakes. Very much side by side with Garcia. Garcia, though, holds on to P5 for the time being, but how long will he be able to do that? Garcia has been putting on a valiant defense thus far in the race, and the young Mexican racer really has come into his own this weekend at Spa. very confident there. You could have had the dummy sold to him there. Vladislav Lomko had a speculative look to the inside. Alex Garcia, though, knew it was a false dawn, stayed on the racing line. Very wise head there on the young man's shoulders. But now Vladislav Lomko is clearly going to have the toe on the run up the hill towards Le Combe. And, well, let's see if Garcia can make his Dallara 320 chassis 3 times wider than it currently is.
Yeah, absolutely. Big chance now for Lomko, that we did say, like you said, towards Garcia's defending. He's been great all weekend, as we're now watching them go side by side. Once again in towards Le Combe, and as they do, tight squeeze, but it looks like Lomko might have the edge as he now moves up into P5. Vladislav Lomko now ahead of Alex Garcia. He valiantly defended Alex Garcia, but it wasn't enough on this occasion. Lomko with the pace that we've seen pretty much all championship long. The Pro GP winner is back again. He's firing on all cylinders. 5th place. Now he takes the charge. I bet he's looking for a podium.
I reckon so, yes. Track limits warning for car 21. Josh Mason in 3rd place, maybe pushing the limits a bit too far in the eyes of the stewards at the moment. But of course, he'll be looking at Christian Mansell and Oliver Goethe ahead. He's only a second behind Mansell. He will be thinking, right, I had my first podium in Euroformula Open yesterday. Why not my first win today? But I'm sure he'll be heeding the warning of the stewards in regards to the track limits. He has Sebastian Ogier to worry about behind him as well. They're in 4th position. Now we focus once again on this top 4 though, and Mansell and Goethe closer together this time. Last time through sector 2 it was about 1.1 seconds. This time it's just 0.6, and we know that Goethe seems to be strong up the hill towards the bus stop. Is he going to be close enough for a move? Not quite, but Mansell, they're allowing the inside. I think this might be a game. Christian Mansell there, I don't think that was more raw pace from Oliver Goethe. I think that might have been Christian Mansell saying, no, after you, I'll take the toe up towards Le Combe. Side by side for 5th place, incidentally, 24 and 69, still going out to Alex Garcia and Vladislav Lomko. And Garcia once again holds on to 5th place, but Lomko side by side with him. That battle continues on. Now Mansell, that certainly looked to me as though he was very intentional with allowing that inside line. He steered over to allow Goethe through. Let's see what happens on the run up the Kemmel Straight then among the leading duo, and sure enough, here comes Mansell. Mansell right back at it. This is Formula Ford stuff, this. Allow your driver through, allow the driver through and take him back at the straight. And that's exactly what Christian Mansell has done. Amazing stuff. Christian Mansell then thinking with his head here, not his heart, lets the lead slip for just a moment, and now he's back there at the sharp end of the order, very calculating.
Yeah, Oliver Goethe, I think, was going to play call my bluff, I think, at that point, but no, Mansell able to retake him. Let's have a look. This was the replay where Mansell forego that 6/10 advantage that he had with Oliver Goethe, allowing him through at bus stop, and now Goethe led in towards the source. It all changed, though. Here is the battle, of course, that we saw earlier on between that of Garcia and Vladislav Lomko, of course, earlier on. And Garcia came out on top in that affair as they made their way down towards the home straight. But yeah, lots of action here. I've got to praise the tenacity shown by Alex Garcia this weekend. Definitely feels like there's a renewed vigor, a renewed buzz in the Mexican. Has certainly shown a real defensive niche, and yet again showing some attacking as well, coming back at Vladislav Lomko. It was a pleasure to watch.
One thing we do need to keep an eye on as well is Oliver Goethe and track limits. His last lap time was, I believe, deleted because of track limits. We saw him run very wide as we get a replay here once again of Mansell getting back past. You saw him run very wide out of the final corner on the previous lap, Ollie Goethe, and he did get a lap time deleted, and if he keeps getting lap times deleted, that could turn into a penalty, so everyone needs to be careful to keep their cars within the confined limits of the racing circuit and the racing surface. Christian Mansell 6/10 clear of Goethe this time. I think Goethe now is wise to the game. He's not going to try and make a move at this bus stop chicane again, because Mansell will just go back past him. So let's see what Christian Mansell does this time. I think Goethe is going to be looming large again as they run up the Kemmel Straight. There are the top 4 still at loggerheads at the sharp end of the order. But I imagine as we go back to live pictures, things are going to be intense at the sharp end. The top four will be running up the back straight at the moment, and sure enough, Goethe's already got through. Oliver Goethe with the slipstream up towards the Kemmel Straight, and Lecombe has already got through into the lead of the race. You can see that one coming from quite a ways off, and Mansell there really getting oversteppy there around Lecombe, bit of oversteer. And he's said in the past, he said at Paul Ricard that he was struggling with rear traction as the race wore on. We saw it yesterday here at Spa in the first race. Let's hope that Mansell's grip stays with him and he can continue to mount a challenge over Oliver Goethe. But for now, Goethe's in the lead, and I must say, that's looking like a couple of car lengths already in favour of the Dane.
Yeah, interviewing the drivers ahead of this round here at Spa, of course. We did discuss with Oliver Goethe and Christian Mansell the props that we could see a battle like we did in Paul Ricard, and this looks very much like the case right now. Obviously, Goethe on top at this moment in time, trying to stretch the advantage, though Christian Mansell is going to do certainly his best to try and rein that back in as they now make their way through this next right-hander. You've got to factor in as well Josh Mason in this fight, because he's not far behind that of Christian Mansell, his teammate, with Sebastian Oggaard, the Van Amersfoort driver, in fourth as well, who started on pole position in this event. As now they make their way around turn 16, Blanchimont, the high-speed left-hander, coming up next. Goethe still leads. The gap now 8.5 tenths of a second, though Christian Mansell will fancy reducing that at this very heavy braking point here at bus stop, as you can now see them taking it, reaching through the curves now, through this next left. A little twitchiness, but okay from Christian Mansell, as now they make the exit and power down this long straight, leaving down towards the source. As they do so, Goethe still on top, Christian Mansell second, Mason in third, Oggaard in fourth. Still a long way to go.
I tell you what, if there was never an advert for Euroformula Open, I think it's this race. Everyone's still practically in one long train. Feel like I'm at Clapham Junction, not Spa-Francorchamps at the moment. Such is the orderly nature of this queue. Oliver Goethe at the sharp end, though. Christian Mansell still there in second, and Josh Mason not too far back in third as well. I don't think Mansell is going to be close enough here to try and get past Goethe on this run towards Lecombe. Goethe trying to break the toe there, just weaving a little bit to try and minimise the effect of the slipstream in favour of Christian Mansell. And Oliver Goethe retains the lead for the time being. Is the car stronger through sector 2? We'll have to keep an eye on the time deltas. Of course, there is the factor of the dirty air, and that means that in this middle sector where things do get tight and twisty and you need to rely on those wings, that aero, it is difficult to follow behind, as a lot of these drivers are doing.
Yeah, absolutely right. Obviously, Goethe still leads. We've got a long way to go, 7 laps. We're at the halfway point here at Spa. Christian Mansell now in behind in second place, obviously looking to give chase to Oliver Goethe, the Great Dane, who's in front, who's been leading the championship up to this point. Mansell second in the championship. Quick reminder, 44 points coming into this race. And now heading through this next chicane at turns 12 and 13. Campus coming up next. Lots on the table, of course. You have to wonder whether Christian Mansell now maybe just sort of taking it easy at this point, wants to try and keep the tyres conserved. Obviously, it's as much a strategy game as it is a race. You need to try and indulge in that side of it too. Obviously, Goethe still leads, but Mansell doing very well to manage the gap at the moment, even though it's just coming out of the sector. He's, in fact, launched out to a second behind Oliver Goethe now. So Oliver Goethe really starting to put pedal to the metal at this point. Mansell in second, Mason in third, with Sebastian Oggaard in behind. I get the feeling there's a bit of a waiting game happening here, Adam.
Quite possibly, yes. Interesting point there, you mentioned tyres. I'll nod my head to Ida Wood of Formula Scout for this little bit of information that was passed to me earlier on. Oliver Goethe, Christian Mansell, Josh Mason, those who did one run in qualifying yesterday, they have more sets of tyres coming into today. They've got fresh set of tyres for each race. That's not the case for a lot of the drivers of Van Amersfoort. It's not the case for Vladislav Lomko, who of course caused the red flag yesterday. He ruined his set of tyres going off onto the gravel trap in qualifying yesterday. So that's an interesting point as well. Look out for that, the fresh tyres. There's more of them in the garages of Goethe, Mansell, Mason, etc. So that could be a compelling storyline later on. For now, though, good scrap going on still between Garcia and Lubin. Garcia has gotten through into 6th position once again as Freddie Lubin continues to scrap with the Mexican driver. These two were sharing an ice bath on Friday. Now they're sharing a battle on Sunday. Funny how things change over the course of a weekend. Garcia and Lubin, great friends off the circuit. There is a lot of camaraderie down in the motor park garage, that much is for certain. And they do like to scrap on circuit though, and I think it's encouraged. At the end of the day, you know, Euroformula Open, this is for honing the skills and developing the stars of the future. And the team, while they don't want to have any bent cars coming back, any cars that have been thrown towards any barriers or so on, they do want to see their drivers develop. They do want to see their drivers get better with their race craft. Just want to say, car 21, 2-second time penalty, abusing track limits. That's a huge shame for Josh Mason. He's going to have to work very hard now because he's got a 2-second time penalty. That will be applied to the end of the race time. So at the end of the race, he'll drop down the order if he's not careful, because Sebastian Oggaard is well within range at the moment. He's in the slipstream range, so it's going to be very difficult for Josh Mason to try and shake off Oggaard. And also Lomco, as it stands, would also jump ahead of Josh Mason if 2 seconds are added to his time. So Mason once again in podium position, but unfortunately the track limits have shot him in the foot a little bit there.
Yeah, major shame for Josh Mason, and as I referred to earlier on, the pace that he showed all weekend has been truly inspired. A huge rise from him heading into the weekend at Spa, but this man still currently leads. It's Oliver Goethe currently with a 1.1 second advantage ahead of Christian Mansell, who's in second place. Josh Mason, as we said prior, still in third. Sebastian Oggaard, I'm sure, will be very encouraged with the fact that Mason has now got a 2-second time penalty, but it doesn't make the test any less vigorous as now they make their way up this long stretch. And you can see now Oggaard defending at the hands of Vladislav Lomco, who looks to attack as they make their way in towards they come. Lomco, outside line, gets through and moves into P4. Great move indeed by Vladislav Lomco, showing that pace that we've seen all championship, coming into the weekend with a 6 podium count, and he looks on the table to secure yet another this weekend at Spa.
Of course, it's an interesting situation between these two now, Oggaard and Lomco, because they are effectively fighting for third place so long as Josh Mason stays within 2 seconds of them. However, the more they scrap on that premise, the more chance Josh Mason has to disappear up the road. It's going to be challenging. Car 84, Francesco Simonazzi, having a similar track limit warning. He's down at the back of the order at the moment, so it wouldn't really affect anything for him. But we're clearly taking the track limits very seriously here this weekend at Spa, as we should. And it is starting to affect some drivers, and Oggaard clearly pushing the limits of his car, trying to hold on to the back of Vladislav Lomco. Lomco, we're just seeing a replay there of how Oggaard was dispatched for fourth place, and now with that little error, Oggaard will have given Vladislav Lomco a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, absolutely right. As they make their way through this next left, Josh Mason currently sat 2 seconds back from Christian Mansell in behind. It's starting to get closer between Lomco and Mason as well, who's starting to bring himself into the fight for on-track podium position as now they make their way through the bus stop chicane. You just see them just hitting the curves, hitting the apexes, prepping for another run down towards the source at turn 1. There you can see Mansell in behind Goethe. The gap now 1.4 as we're seeing things on track right now. There you can see Mason in behind, Lomco urging ever closer now, 6/10 in behind Josh Mason. And there you can see a very pensive look from the teams at Motor Park as now they make their way up towards Eau Rouge and Radillon. There is, of course, the man himself, Christian Mansell, the Aussie, now looking to make his way through Eau Rouge and Radillon, chasing, letting fly at Ollie Goethe. Needs to try and reduce this deficit to at least launch an attack on the final 4 laps. We've got a 3-second time penalty for car 21, and that's Josh Mason again. Unfortunately, suffering yet more demise due to the fact of track limits. Really struggling with it out there, and now he's got Lomco right behind him.
Yes, he does. Meanwhile, Lubin and Ugran having a scrap, and, well, dispatched is Freddie Lubin. Lubin seems to be struggling in this race, unfortunately. The pace just doesn't seem to be there. The car just doesn't seem to be under him at the moment. And Philip Ugran has just moved up into 7th place there for Van Amersfoort Racing. Ugran is trying to recover his weekend, of course. Started on the front row in race number 1, but just didn't seem to have the car hooked up yesterday. He now moves up into 7th place. Now, I'm interested to know, I'm not actually entirely certain, with that car 21 penalty, Josh Mason's now 3-second penalty for abusing track limits. I'm not so certain whether that's 3 seconds total or whether that's now 5 seconds with a 2 and a 3. We'll have to wait and see. That's actually now just disappeared from the timing screen, so not sure quite what's going on there at the moment. We'll have to wait and see. It will all correct itself at the end of the race anyway. The penalty will be applied on the timing screen post-race, so we will have to see where Josh Mason shakes out ultimately. We're about to approach the third last lap of the race, currently hunting down the final sector at the moment. And when Oliver Goethe crosses the line this time, it will be 3 to go here at Spa. Goethe, once again, it was that definitive moment, wasn't it? He was close behind Mansell, and by the time we saw Oliver Goethe again, he was already through. He got a good few car lengths then through the subsequent corners of Bruxelles and the Jackie X corner. And oh, Mason there with a lock-up. Mason, I think he will have probably missed the apex there at Ogard having a sideways moment as well. But Mason there will have missed the apex at La Source. That may have cost him a little bit of time up against Vladislav Lomko. Of course, Mason is fighting the timing screen, arguably more than Vladislav Lomko, with those penalties hanging over his head. And here is Ogard and Garcia fighting for 5th place then. Alex Garcia side by side with Sebastian Ogard, and fairly easy done there by Garcia, but Ogard will now try and fight back. Freddie Lubin trying to do much the same with Philipp Ugran, and does so. Nice move around the outside. Oh, but just asked too much of the grip. Sebastian Ogard off onto the gravel also there at Le Combe. Lots going on all at once there, and Ogard trying to get some of the gravel off of his tyres immediately after that moment. Ugran retained 7th place. Lubin tried to go around the outside, but so difficult to achieve that here there at Le Combe.
Yeah, big moment. There's the slide that you saw out of La Source coming from Sebastian Ogard heading out of that point on track, and there was the other moment, of course, battling with Alex Garcia, just literally, well, I say grazing, he took a lot of that gravel. He needs to take that off the tyres, I'm sure, but you've got to remember, as you alluded to earlier on, Adam, how's that going to affect the tyre compound now? He's been in the gravel trap on that side of things. That could cause a few problems for the final few laps of the race.
Maybe a little bit. I think more so it's the act of spinning, locking up the brakes, sliding across the track into the gravel. Because the wheels were still in motion, I don't think it will have damaged the compound too much. But he is on a very limited amount of tyres for the rest of this weekend. So to your point, yes, Sebastian Ogard will be hoping that all is still well with that rubber. Looking here at Josh Mason once again, he's 3rd place, but he's got penalties over his head at the moment for track limits. We'll have to see where he is. I'm assuming it's 3 seconds total, and therefore, if that is the case, he's still very much risking dropping out of the top 5 once penalties are applied. Oliver Goethe, 3 seconds clear now of Christian Mansell. Certainly, I think any question of Mansell coming back, having saved some of his tyre life, I think that's now out of the question. Goethe seems to have once again had the opportunity to get to the lead of the race. And again, once Oliver Goethe seems to get the opportunity to be the leader, he very rarely passes up the opportunity to take the checkered flag at the end.
No, not at all. He likes to build a gap. He's done it several times, and we've seen it. Now he's controlling the pace once again. 3 seconds is pretty much where he is right now, in behind Christian Mansell, making his way up the Kemmel Straight. He'll come up towards Les Combe. You can just see in picture that Oliver Goethe just took that corner in behind Josh Mason, and we got a little battle happening further down as well. And if I'm not mistaken, as they make their way through, that is Frederick Lubin currently scrapping things out with Philipp Ugran as they head through this next right-hander. And Philipp Ugran, little twitchy moment heading through Malmedy, got very close. He could have ventured onto the gravel himself, which would have been an adventure he wouldn't have wanted, Adam Weller, but still managed to keep it out nonetheless.
Ugran did very well to not completely head off the circuit there. That was quite a big handful of opposite lock that he'll have had in that moment. Freddie Lubin managed to get back past Ugran then, and now with that mistake for Philipp Ugran, looks as though Freddie Lubin has 7th place sealed. He's still within a second of Sebastian Ogard. Not impossible that Lubin could try and get up into the top half dozen before the end of this race. The 2nd, 3rd and 4th place cars snaking through Fagnes and now through Campus and the Paul Frere curve. We are about to start the final lap of the race. Oliver Goethe, lest we forget, started this race in 6th position. He wasn't even the main mover at the start of the race. Of course, Christian Mansell and Josh Mason had the best starts of anybody in the early stages, and Mansell very quickly turned 5th place into the lead. But Oliver Goethe, playing the long game across the race distance, has once again found himself at the sharp end of the order as we go on to this last lap of racing. There's Goethe coming towards La Source to start the final lap. Mason still there in 3rd. But again, I remind you, he's got a 3-second penalty applied to his race time retroactively for track limits. So we'll see him likely drop down 2 or 3 positions ultimately once all is said and done, which is a huge shame for Josh. He had his first podium yesterday. This could have been a podium again today, but track limits penalties are seemingly going to stifle that. Vladislav Lomko, though, I think even if he is aware of Mason's penalty, he would quite like to take 3rd place on track. Those two closing in together once again as they come down the Kemmel Straight and towards Les Combes. Are we going to see a move out of Lomko? He's not close enough, so the answer is no. But Mason will be eager, really, to not fight Lomko, because every time he's going to go side by side with the driver or something like that, he's losing time and arguably losing more positions to those behind him once you consider the penalty.
Yeah, because he's running the risk now of Alex Garcia potentially jumping in as well as Vladislav Lomko for that podium position. So could very easily see Mason getting down into 5th place, which is certainly not what he would have wanted at this point in time. But certainly now Vladislav Lomko so close to the back end of Mason's car. Oliver Goethe, though, with a very healthy advantage in front right now. Yeah, there you could see him in picture, folks, making his way through the next right and left of turns 12 and 13. Next up, he'll be making his way down towards campus, and yet again doing what he did yesterday, managing to launch the car up into 1st place. And what a battle it's been. We've seen him and Mansell come together. It's been a pleasure to watch between these two, all championship long as well. And yet again, we've seen it again here at Spa. Sensational as he now makes his way down through around Blanchimont. Adam, the Great Dane, he's on fire yet again.
Oliver Goethe has been exemplary so far this weekend. He only needed 1 lap to be on pole position yesterday. He took the race win yesterday, and now in race 2 of the weekend, our first of 2 races on Sunday here at Spa, it's going to be Oliver Goethe claiming another full haul of points, another race win for Oliver Goethe and Team Motor Park. Christian Mansell crosses the line for 2nd place, Josh Mason taking 3rd, and Vladislav Lomko, Alex Garcia, and well, actually, of course, with Mason's penalty, he's dropping and dropping. It was 5 seconds total. Mason down to 7th place. So it was a 2-second penalty and a 3-second penalty. So unfortunately for Mason, he's dropped down to P7. That's really unfortunate for Josh Mason. So to run you through the order properly, Goethe taking the win, Mansell and Lomko your podium. Of course, we will see the full results on screen in due course, but unfortunately Josh Mason dropping down to 7th. Freddie Lubin, though, getting himself into the top 6 as a result of Mason's penalty. Here is the top of the order then. Oliver Goethe at the sharp end. Once again, Christian Mansell taking 2nd place. Vladislav Lomko in 3rd, ahead of Alex Garcia. Sebastian Ogard 5th. Freddie Lubin 6th. Josh Mason 3rd on the road, but 7th after penalties applied, unfortunately. Philippe Augran in 8th position. Philippe Caminiers in 9th place. And Francesco Simonazzi rounding out the order in this race. Ollie Goethe now 54 points clear of Christian Mansell in the championship. Goethe continues to get stronger at the sharp end of this championship. Lomko 3rd in the points ahead of Sebastian Ogard at the moment. Lomko will have built his advantage again in the rookie class as well.
Obviously, yeah.
Just listening in.
But it was, you said it was 5th.
Yeah, it was a bit more in this direction.
Don't want to risk too much listening in, though, because, you know, adrenaline-filled racing drivers sometimes have creative use of language. But Stuart Hall, you see there, the driver coach of Ollie Goethe, one of the key figures at Rothgo Racing, and he's back with Ollie this weekend. Vladislav Lomko there in 3rd place. The 69 car rounding out the podium and taking the rookie class win as well, Vladislav Lomko. Christian Mansell takes a good 2nd place finish. More strong points on the board support the young Australian. But no one could beat the Great Dane today. Oliver Goethe, the number 96 car, again at the sharp end. Let's hear from him now.
It's cooler today, but the winner is still the same, Oliver.
Yeah, it was a bit more difficult this time round, starting from P6. Christian obviously got a really good start and got to P1 very early. But I managed to pick through the grid quite quickly. Christian was quite difficult to pass. He didn't make it easy, but in the end the pace was really good. And yeah, I stayed patient, didn't take any risks, and got the win.
Can you make 3 out of 3?
Definitely, I can do it, for sure. The grid will be similar to what it was here, me starting P6, Christian P5, but no, definitely I think I can do the same.
We'll see you later. All the best. Thank you.
Confident young man, Ollie Goethe, and justifiably so. Let's see the highlights from race number 2 then. Sebastian Ogard was on a pole position as we got underway. Lightning launch from Josh Mason and Christian Mansell. Mason trying for second place, Mansell going all the way around the outside to claim that second position in the early stages of the race. And then he was already right on the gearbox of Sebastian Ogard from 5th to 1st in just a few corners for Christian Mansell. Oliver Goethe, though, would work his way through the pack. This is him dispatching Alex Garcia on the approach to Blanchimont, which would be a favourite overtaking move. A fabulous move as well at Bruxelles, up the inside of Josh Mason. That put him to 3rd. Ogard also falling to the superior pace out of Paul Freyerkerven and onto Blanchimont. And then we saw take 2 of the battle between Mansell and Goethe. Little bit of uncompromising driving from Christian Mansell. Mansell taking a strategic play, allowing Goethe through, and then slipstreaming back past him on the run up to Kemmel. However, Goethe would eventually pass and stay in the race lead. And by the end of the race, it was over 5 seconds at the sharp end of the order in favour of Oliver Goethe, our championship leader, with his 6th victory of the 2022 Euroformula Open season. And here we see the podium ongoing. Vladislav Lomko there in 3rd place. Christian Mansell finishing P2 once again in this one. And here comes Oliver Goethe, getting very, very used to the top step of the podium. 2 consecutive events now. He's taken at least 2 race wins. There you go, the national anthem of Denmark. The most played track on the Euroformula Open National Anthem CD collection this year. Not available at your local retailers. Spa-Francorchamps is truly Ollie Goethe's hunting ground by the looks of it this weekend. Will either of the gentlemen on the podium be able to beat him in race number 3, or could another member of our paddock try and challenge Ollie Goethe for the win in race number 3? Of course, Goethe is going to have to work his way from 6th place yet again, and once again Christian Mansell's bailing out of the podium. Wow, the champagne spraying has gone out of fashion here in this paddock. It's a shame to see. Yes, great to see Oliver Goethe once again living up to what we know he can do, and Alex Garcia also with a really strong performance here. He's having his strongest weekend of the season by far this weekend at Spa. P4 for him in this race also leaves him second among the rookies, behind Vladislav Lomko, the man who perpetually seems to be in 2 podium ceremonies here in Euroformula Open. Sebastian Ogard, our pole sitter, unfortunately could only take 5th overall and 3rd in the rookies in this race. He'll be looking to improve upon that in race number 3, where he once again has the pole position. We've seen him take a win this year at Estoril. What can he do in race 3 at Spa? Congratulations to Ogard, to Alex Garcia, and indeed to Vladislav Lomko, our top 3 in the rookie class. Vladislav Lomko furthering his advantage in the rookie class. Race number 3 will take place later on this afternoon at about 3:30 local time. Make sure you join us for more action from Euroformula Open.